So AJ, Atheist Junior, he had a live stream with Big Bad Mama and Claude Bawles about Kent Hovind and his issues with his taxes and his convictions and whatnot, and also his affiliations with Brady Byram and Chris Jones, and we all know what they are like. This is a very short version of AJ's live stream with Big Bad Mama and Claude Bawles. So if you want to see the whole thing, go to Atheist Junior's channel and watch it.
Atheists and God haters have run with this tax protester claim against me for 17 years now. They cannot win a debate defending their dumb evolution religion against me, and they are jealous of my popularity and my good looks and my money. Well, my popularity. So they look for something, anything, to try to make me look bad and divert attention from their own silly beliefs.
What did Kent say? He sort of mumbled something after saying they're jealous of my money, because I think he realized that kind of sounded bad, and it goes against his narrative of, I got $20 shoes at Walmart and they have a hole in them.
I don't own anything. Yeah.
I wear the same underwear for 6 months straight to save money.
Oops, Kent. Well, you're not the only one who had a slip of the tongue when talking about money.
Put her on the spot.
He is the most sacrificial, giving person I've ever met in my life. Just say that he's got maybe Crocs that came from Walmart that aren't Crocs, but I don't know how much they are, but those are his shoes. He $9.99. Okay. His paycheck goes to everybody but himself. I don't know any other person that's probably made millions in this world who lives the way that he lives. I don't know any other person that's probably made millions in this world who lives the way that he lives.
Oopsie.
They accused me of tax protesting, tax evasion, okay? Kent Hovind tax evasion case.
So it was the court itself that deemed Kent a tax protester. In 2006, they said that his defense was based on bizarre arguments, some of which constitute tax protester arguments. And also, in 1996, he filed bankruptcy to avoid Chapter 13 bankruptcy to avoid paying federal income taxes, claiming he was not a citizen of the U.S. I haven't filed a tax return in years, he said in 2003. I just wanted to add that.
Yes, he's even there's a clip on YouTube of him saying he hasn't filed a tax return in 28 years. So what he will say is that, of course, he pays every tax that he owes, but he doesn't owe any taxes. He's being less than honest here. And of course he does owe taxes. Anyway.
Hovind, evangelist who apparently believes he doesn't owe taxes. Well, that's not true. Kent Hovind, tax protester, tax fraud. Florida man gets his dinosaur park seized by the feds. Now reported to Kent Hovind battling the IRS for years. I didn't battle them. They came after me. Okay, anyway. Let's see.
How do you figure? What do you mean you didn't start it? You did start it by not paying the taxes.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah. I really love Kent's excuse. We're going to hear it later, but he said that he wrote letters to the IRS basically saying, do I really have to pay this tax? And they did not write Kent back. So that means it's free real estate. He can just go to town breaking tax laws because they didn't write him back. He asked, he's asking the tough questions to, the biggest, people in government, and they're too scared to write back. So he's gonna, Kent Hovind, he's a man who swung at the government and then missed and then fell over, and then they put him in handcuffs and took him away, but
did he just say there they didn't attack him?
Attack him?
And that he never attacked them, I'm saying. Sorry.
Exactly. No, he did. He said, I didn't start this. The IRS started this, which is just obviously not true because You know what I mean?
Plus, it's the
IRS
job. It's the job of the
Exactly.
IRS to
Exactly.
look at people who are not paying their correct taxes.
Right.
Right. And he filed false and frivolous lawsuits against the IRS. He made threats of harm to them, filed false complaints against the agents, and he did his share of attacking.
This guy's a tax expert. Oh, we better listen to him then. Okay. Matthew. I thought it was Matthew. Sorry about that. Thank you for the question.
I was wrong, Doc. You're right. It's me.
It is Matthew. Okay. I think it's way past time I give a thorough answer. Since I moved to Lenox, April 2016, some have spread rumors that I'm a tax protester and various other bad labels, cult leader, etc., they put on me without knowing the entire truth. These same rumors prompted your question. It's a sad reality of living in a small community that some have nothing better to do than try to make themselves look good by tearing down what others build or do.
I found it interesting that he started his time clock right there at 2006 when he's been investigated by the IRS since the mid 90s. He first has been on their radar. And I just find it interesting that he goes all the way to 2006 and kind of disregards that entire history.
Since moving to Lenox, brought nearly $3 million of revenue into this area. With all the building we've done, 25,000 plus or minus visitors we've had from all 50 states and 75 foreign countries. We have seen thousands of lives changed and nearly 270 baptized in our lake, but the rumors, gossip, and slander persist, calling us a cult. My answer to your question, Matthew, and this phase of my life starts with this woman, Judge Margaret Casey Rogers. Let me explain what happened, okay? Education and career. Margaret Rogers, born in Pensacola in the U.S. Army for 2 years, received a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of West Florida in 1989. That's the year that's the year I moved to Pensacola and did the debate and humiliated the professor there.
This false idea that she was after him and hated Christians. We'll come to a bit shortly that's where he really goes into that too. But it's just not true. And I believe someone, Rudy Davis, one of his cohorts, and then the guy Byram who put up the website Kent Hovind is innocent. It's just part of the shtick that they are circulating around. There's no evidence that she was out to get him at all, but it's just convenient for Kent to repeat this nonsense. In fact, when he had a trial in 2015 for trying to interfere with the sale of his properties, that's the one he got off. He was convicted of contempt, but Rogers then voided that contempt conviction. So she's actually a very reasonable person, because if she'd been out for him, she would have jailed him under contempt charges. So we can prove that he's just lying here.
She became a judge in Pensacola, vacated by Lacey Collio. Complaints board. Okay, complaints about politicians. Here we go. Judge Margaret Casey Rogers, fraud warning. Beware of Judge Margaret Casey Rogers. Why? She's a bizarre individual who is completely unethical and biased in her rulings. Judge Rogers should be investigated and, when found guilty, confined to prison. This woman is completely unfit person to be a judge. She's biased against Christians and in favor of evildoers, as her record shows. She is paid by taxpayers and yet is a public enemy. Beware of Judge Margaret Casey Rogers. To show how deranged she is she claimed that Pastor Kent Hovind's supposed offenses were worse than a rapist.
This never happened. This is a lie.
Yes, and also note that freehovind.com is the source of this. It's been put up by freehovind.com. It's just a joke. It's using his own claims to prove his own claims.
Judge Margaret Casey Rogers sentenced pastor to many years in prison for what doesn't even constitute a crime, and yet is on record for saying it's worse than a rapist. She illegally had this removed from the court transcript. 7 U.S. citizens heard her say this and have filed affidavits. She said at my sentencing, "Your crime is worse than rape."
She didn't actually say it, and and of course and that's why it's not in the transcript, not because somebody had it removed. That is conspiracy nonsense. But do you know there was a woman that sat and wrote notes all during the trial, and she was a Hovind follower called Jen Fishburne, and you can find her on YouTube. And she said it was Eric who actually made the comment about the rap. And he said it when he was asking for leniency for his mother. And during that time, he said his father was being treated more harshly than a rapist. So that's where this whole thing came from. It was never said by Judge Rogers. It was Eric who felt at the time that his father was being treated more harshly than a rapist. And this is how this has emerged. It's a total lie and fabrication from the Kent Hovind's lovers.
All Judge. Oh, sorry, Agent.
No, I was just saying that's a good find. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you look up Jen Fishburne, Jen, and then Fishburne with an E on the end, and talking about Hovind on YouTube, there's an interview with her too. So, and there's also, if you look up on just on the internet, you'll find a written talk about that. So I think it's a good one, and that's what happened, and it just exposes Hovind's false claims.
Yeah. And as Claude said, it was Eric, and it was only when Eric was defending his mother, though I think he had given kind of a tepid defense of his father the day before, but Eric said justice has to be blind, he said, as he agreed with the judge sentencing his father to a sentence worse than that of a rapist. Something like that, right, Claude?
Yes, that's right. And this has been spun by his supporters, by Hovind's supporters. Terrible. And it is actually typical of Kent. When he gets cornered by any topic, he will suddenly change the topic. So I've got him on the ropes, I think, on one chance when I managed to speak to him online here, and over his Brady Byram, the guy that who's author of his website here, and over things that Brady apparently did with his daughter. And Kent, as soon as I got him on the ropes over it, Kent said, "Anyway, what have you done for the Lord? Or have you ever slept with a woman that you were not married to?" So suddenly I'm the terrible person because I have slept with a woman to whom I was not married. But his good friends who are up to activities with children, oh no, that's somehow different. It's just bizarre. Kent Hovind has for years been lying about this Atchison's involvement. And when you look into it, Atchison was a prosecutor who did some disgusting things. It's just been outlined. But it looks as though the only documents he filed were after Kent's convictions and sentencing. So he had a very minor role in it. And the fact that he was a terrible person, a despicable person, and all the stuff with children, that still has nothing to do with Kent's conviction. Kent is doing a red herring. And Kent should not be throwing stones when he lives in a glass house, considering his friendships with Brady Byram, who likes to keep it in the family, from what I've heard, and Chris Jones. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Kent is very foolish to bring this up. First of all, it is irrelevant what the prosecutor's private life and disgusting things that he did, and I don't deny that he did those. But secondly, Kent's own friends are like that, and Atchison's involvement was very minor anyway. So there you go. That's the truth.
When he shows this, it immediately makes you think of Chris Jones and Brady Byram, at least
Yes,
in my mind.
It does.
Oh boy. So it bugs me that when this guy wants to go after a little girl, Kent is all offended. You know, he's very upset. What a disgusting monster. But when Chris Jones goes after 6 different boys under the age of 12, well, you know.
But the other thing is, you know, when he's defending his good friend and board member Brady, he says, well, it was, 30 or 40 years ago, and it was one of his own kin. So it's as though that makes it all right. So Kent is just the ultimate hypocrite here. But and when of course Jones is found in bed with the young boy, I think he was 11 at the time, and then later on, Hovind is recorded saying, "Well, he has a right to wrestle with the boy." No, he doesn't. But this is the sort of nonsense. But the main point about all this is to draw the hypocrisy of what Kent is saying, and I think we've showed that. But the second point is to show that that the fact that Atchison did these disgusting things too, that has nothing to do with Kent's guilt or innocence. Absolutely nothing. And it's a typical tactic of Kent Hovind.
And
Yeah.
Kent also said that the boy has a right to choose to wrestle as well.
Yes, with a convicted Peter. Crazy. It's nonsense. But all the Hovind followers, and they swallow it. They swallow it whole. It's disgusting. But Kent has very much double standards. But at least we've proved that.
A couple of Hovind fans joined in the side chat and in the comments section. I wonder what they had to say about the things being discussed, especially the last thing.